shouldn't have listened.
Something knocked on the window from the 30th floor, with no balcony. The blackout glass showed a shape darker than the night behind it. The fresh paint blistered around an old nail hole, like a mouth trying to speak. Our toolbox slid 4 feet by itself and stopped at my toes. The motion alarm said, "Window open," while I was holding the latch shut. A second set of our footprints appeared in the dust, smaller, turned inward. I'm Daniel Reed. My girlfriend Emily and I spent September turning a long-abandoned storage penthouse into our place. 30th floor, Halley Tower, Seattle. The unit was a hoarder's attic before us. Metal shelves, dead fluorescents, windows film-blackened for decades. We ripped everything out, hired a cleaner, put in a glass desk, plants, a soft gray couch. Fresh start, we kept saying like a spell. The first knock came 3 nights after move-in. We were unpacking books. There's no balcony, no scaffolding, and the window faces a drop straight into air. I cracked the latch anyway because habit. Cold came in like a wet coin. I told Emily it was the building breathing. Halley is old, steel groans, vents cough, windows flex. We closed it and turned music up. Proof stack began quiet. A steel shelf scar, one of those perfect little screw holes, kept weeping dust in a circle onto the new white paint. I wiped it. 20 minutes later, there it was again, like a slow leak from a nothing pipe. The blackout film on the corner pane had a faint, greasy hand smear from decades back. After we cleaned it twice, it reappeared lower, child height. Our door sensor pushed a midnight alert. Window open, north 3. I was standing with both hands on north 3, feeling it push back like someone on the other side leaned gently. The rationalization loop kicked in. Pressure differentials, elevator shafts, a stuck hinge confused the sensor. I even blamed my own phone case magnets. We went to bed with city noise like surf far below. At 2:41 a.m., the toolbox slid from the kitchen island to my foot and stopped, as if something used it to lean on while standing. Emily sat up and whispered, "Danny, why is the shadow bigger than the lamp?" The floor lamp threw a neat circle before. Now, the circle broke around a tall vertical absence by the windows. A shape that did not reflect, did not move, but somehow breathed. The glass faintly ticked, like cooling. I tried to drown it in busy work. I hung frames. I patched the weeping hole and spackled a new smooth circle. It dried. That night the patch bulged outward like pressure from within. When I pressed it, the spackle cooled my fingertip the way concrete does in deep shade. Inside the wall I heard a single fingernail travel across drywall. Grout dust drifted like ash. Partner collateral arrived as denial. Emily began misplacing small things. Her tape measure, the little spirit level, only to find them lined along the window track like offerings. She laughed it off. Your neat freak finally made friends with a poltergeist. But that laugh got shorter each time. A bruise like 3 fingertips bloomed on the back of her arm, with a blackout film meets the frame, as if someone guided her to look. The signature obsession showed itself as taps, always on glass, always in a pattern. Tap, tap, tap. 1, then 2. It copied our rhythm if we tested it. The third night I knocked the pattern out of frustration. The taps returned from the far window at the exact opposite tempo, like it wanted to teach me the right speed. We called maintenance. They came with ladders and a meter for leaks. 2 men, both unconcerned. They tested the pane seal, the frame, the sensor. "She's tight," one said. The other pointed at the old shelving bolt holes we'd patched. "This room stored the tower's records too," he added casually. Some nights felt crowded. They left behind a safety sticker on the inside of the glass. "Do not lean," like a joke. Later that night, the city lights below went out block by block for 5 seconds. A rolling darkness that did not touch our floor. In those seconds, our glass reflected nothing. Not us, not the lamp, not the room. Only the outline by North 3, darker than the blackout, remained. When the lights snapped back, our plants had all rotated their leaves toward the window, as if noon had arrived at midnight. We fled to the stairwell to reset our nerves. The stairwell smells like dust and old raincoats. On the landing, the darkness felt honest. No glass, no reflections. I told Emily, "We'll sleep at mine." As we reached for the handle back into the hall, something tapped the small wired window set into the stairwell door from the other side. Tap, tap, tap. And a second set of our footprints materialized behind us on the concrete. Smaller, toes turned inward like someone standing too close, copying us wrong. We sleep on the couch now with the lights on. The patch keeps swelling toward the room. Sometimes before dawn, the window sensor shows open 0%. A reading between numbers, between states. And the cold that comes in smells like wet cardboard, old tape and ink. If I knock the rhythm on the wall, the tap answers from inside the pane. It knows our new home better than we do. This doesn't end here. Something else was happening somewhere else. The man in the headlight wash didn't throw a shadow. When we braked, he vanished, but our brake lights still lit his coat red. Something kept pace with us in the ditch. Footfalls wrong like elbows. The speedometer froze at 47 while the mile markers counted backward. My helmet mic played my own breath a half second after I exhaled. Something knocked on my visor from the outside at 60 miles per hour. It's Tyler Brooks. My buddy Matt and I took the night route from Laramie to Rollins on 287 last Friday. Open country, long straightaways, deer like ghosts if you're unlucky. It was around 1:10 a.m. Clear, dry, too quiet. We had a GoPro running on my helmet and helmet mics open to chat because wind plus boredom equals dumb decisions. He was just there. He was just there. Center lane, coat to his knees, head tilted like he was listening to our engines. The headlight cones swallowed him white. I downshifted, braked, ABS juddered, and in the blink between slow and stop, he wasn't there. No step to shoulder, no stumble. Gone. "Ty, where?" Matt started, then swallowed it. You don't want to say gone on an empty road. Proof stack. The brake lights painted a human outline red on the road in front of us. Not a shadow, more like the light was hitting someone and bouncing back at us. But there was no someone. The GoPro audio caught the light thump of our discs cooling and then a knock on my visor. Tick, as if a fingernail asked for attention. We both laughed, fast, ugly laughs. "Bug," I said. There were no bugs on the glass when I lifted it. We rolled again, slow, scanning fences. Something ran beside us in the ditch, pace-matched, not human. The footfalls had a rhythm like 4 points touching, then 2, then none, then all at once like elbows and knees hitting the dirt. The speedo stuck at 47. The mile marker we passed said 12, then the next said 11, then somehow 12 again. Rationalization loop engaged. Antelope can move like glitches at night. The GoPro lens sometimes flares and makes shapes. The speed sensor could be dirty. We told each other that list to keep the air breathable inside our helmets. At 1:18 a.m., a shape ran ahead of us in our lane, back hunched, head low, same coat, same tilt. It never quite let us close. The GoPro cabin mic, cheap, started playing my breath back to me delayed, like I was on a phone with bad signal. Between breaths, something whispered in my own cadence, "Don't turn around." Matt said, "Dude," and then his channel cut to static for half a mile. Partner collateral. Matt's visor fogged from the top down, not inside like normal, but outside, like something breathed on it from above. He batted at air. Later, a single streak like a finger's clean line stayed on the fog, vertical, then a tiny crook at the end, a hook like someone learning how to write. Signature obsession. Knocks. Not on windows this time, on plastic. Tick, tick, tick. The visor, the gas tank, the GoPro housing. When I slowed, the knocks spaced out. When I rolled on, they sped to an insect frenzy. I smacked my helmet once, "Don't do that," and the knock answered from behind my ear. We tried the dumb safe thing, kill the engines, listen. We coasted to the shoulder. The night is huge out there. Sound travels wrong in emptiness. Something continued down the road without us, footfalls on asphalt, coat sound like heavy fabric against heavy fabric, then stopped and waited until we started again. The GoPro timestamp stayed true. The odometer claimed we weren't moving for stretches, we were absolutely moving. At 1:31, a truck passed us the other way. Long haul, cab lights like a floating city. In its windwake, the shape ahead of us rippled like heat, and then, for the first time, threw a shadow. The shadow split into two, then three, like a stutter separated from its source. The GoPro saved the clip under a name I didn't set. No shoulder. We should have turned back. We didn't, because you don't want whatever that is between you and home. When the Rollins exit finally showed up, green sign, weirdly bright, the thing in our lane peeled right into the dark at a normal human speed, like the last 5 miles were just it walking off a long day. Matt said, "Don't look," and I didn't. Crossing the city limit, the Speedo unfroze. The knocks stopped like a switch through. My visor had one new nick, tiny, perfectly round, like a tap from the outside left a seed. I pulled the GoPro card at the motel. On the audio, under the wind, you can hear the knocks. In the reflection of my own speedometer, when the needle is stuck at 47, something runs past us going the wrong way, its coat never moving in the wind, as if the night respected it. The file's metadata says the clip was recorded 2 hours before we left Laramie. We started telling ourselves, clocks drift. That's what we're choosing. This doesn't end here. Something else was happening somewhere else. Anklet bells chimed on the stairs when the air was still. Perfume like rain on hot stone walked past me and didn't stir my shirt. The hallway camera tagged a dress shape and labeled it motion, silk. At 1:12 a.m. every night, the bedside water rippled once. The veil in the mirror moved when the mirror didn't. She stood in the doorway, faceless and beautiful, and waited for me to blink first. I'm Olivia Park. I bought a 1920s villa off Crestline in San Diego. White stucco, red tile, a courtyard full of bougainvillea and bad decisions. I gutted it lovingly and put it back together. New wiring, white oak floors, plaster polished smooth. The old neighbors said it was empty for years, used for storage, which is a polite way of saying forgotten. The first week sleeping there, I woke at 1:12 a.m. to the faintest chiming. Tiny silver bells, precise, like jewelry moving one step at a time. Anklet bells. My grandmother called them that, and that's the only name I know that fits. They came down the stairs, paused between landings, then across the hall to my open door. No draft. My water glass made a single ripple like a coin dropped far away. Proof stack built itself nightly. At 1:12, my hallway camera, just a slim motion sensor paired to lights, would trigger a soft glow. The clip showed light shaping itself around the absence of a person, the way silk drapes around nothing on a hanger. The system started naming the event Silk, which is not a category I programmed. My bedroom mirror, there before me, a vintage oval, sometimes showed a veil moving a fraction when I held still, like a breeze inside the glass. Rationalization loop, old wood, neighbors' wind chimes, my own bracelets, the house settling into itself like a body getting comfortable. I even blamed the cat I don't own yet. You reach for normal. Normal doesn't reach back. On the second Saturday, she passed me. Not visible the way a face is visible, no. More like an imprint of movement. A long white suggestion with weight. The polite sound of anklet bells. Perfume that's not quite floral, not quite rain. Something like stone getting wet in summer. She stopped in the doorway the way a bride does when everyone stands. I couldn't look at where the face would be because the not face felt like it was looking at me first. Partner collateral. My friend Claire stayed over because bravery multiplies. She laughed and called it, "Your house sounds." But at 1:12 she sat up so fast the duvet sighed. The bells crossed the threshold. Claire said later she felt a soft weight press her ankle bones together, like a hand checking a fit. In the morning, 2 faint red lines curved around her left ankle where a chain might sit. "Allergic to your detergent," she insisted, then more socks all day. Signature obsession escalated with precision. The time never varied, 1:12 a.m. If I napped at noon, nothing. If I tried to stay awake in the dark, the house grew heavy and ceremonial, like it was holding its breath for someone important. When I placed an old lace veil, flea market find, over the mirror frame as a test, the bells paused in front of it that night, and the veil tugged once as if adjusted by careful hands. I tried to interrupt the pattern. I closed the bedroom door gently, left lights on, set a chair against it. At 1:12, the bells chimed on the other side of the wood. The water rippled once. The chair's back pressed into the door a fraction, like something resting a hand there. I opened it, because that's what you do when a guest knocks. The hall was empty and shaped like company. On the 4th night, I placed white roses in the courtyard. The bells stopped at the threshold to the courtyard arch, then turned, choosing the long way past the mantel where I'd propped an old photograph I found behind the kitchen wall. Wedding party, blurred, only the roses in focus. The camera labeled the movement procession. I didn't teach it that word. Neighbors, when I asked carefully, said the villa hosted backyard weddings long ago. One whispered, "There was a girl who waited too long," or maybe the groom did. Stories bend. No one wanted to say it plain. The air in the house began to smell like rain right before 1:12, even when the forecast swore dry. I sleep now with my door open because the bells dislike closed things. The sound is never angry, it is purposeful, a routine. Sometimes the last chime is right at my bedside and the veil in the mirror moves the way a woman nods to herself when everything is exactly where it belongs. Once, when I whispered, "You look beautiful," The bells answered with a soft, complicated little flourish that made my throat sting. At 1:12 this morning, the roses I left on the hall table had dew on them from nowhere. On my phone, the hallway cam wrote, "Thous" in the clip notes, which should not be possible. If I lay very still, I can hear the faint drag of silk past the plaster. I don't think she wants me gone. I think she wants the walk to continue. This doesn't end here. Something else was happening somewhere else. The attic bulb glowed with the breaker off. Hammer taps came from a sealed crawl space where we found no nails. Plastic sheeting billowed inward like someone breathed from behind it. The contractor's photo showed me standing where I wasn't. The old crib up there rocked exactly 3 times when no one touched it. The insulation dust arranged itself into letters, then blew away when I said the word. I'm Grace Miller. We bought a little 1908 farmhouse outside Madison and spent 2 months on weekends turning the attic into a studio. White paint, pine floors, a skylight that makes the dust look celestial. It had been storage forever. Trunks, a disassembled crib, wallpaper dry as crackers. We took care. We said please and thank you to the house like a joke. The breaker for the attic is labeled ATTOLD. We killed it every night. Still, sometimes as we drove away, the single pull chain bulb glowed yellow in the dormer when we looked back. We'd turn around, unlock, climb the stairs and find it dark and cold. Night glare off the glass, my husband, Evan, said. He wanted it to be reflection so badly I nearly believed him. Proof piled in the details. The plastic dust barrier we hung over the knee wall, the sealed crawlspace we didn't need, billowed toward us as if someone behind it exhaled. The sound of a hammer came from where there is no joist to nail to. The old crib, mostly parts, rocked its headboard 3 even times without a floorboard creak to explain it. When the HVAC kicks, things move, sure. But the HVAC was off in October's perfect air. The rationalization loop worked overtime. Changes in temperature, pressure waves from doors, mischievous raccoons. Then, the contractor texted me a progress photo at 3:33 p.m. Sun stripes across the floor, my scarf hanging over the banister. Looking good, he wrote. In the photo's reflection in the skylight pane, I stood in the middle of the room, hands on hips, hair up. Except I was at work. The timestamp matches an email I sent from my desk. Partner collateral. Evan brushed past a nail, sticking proud, and swore. A perfect rust line grazed his forearm. My fault, he said. Later we found the same rust line imprinted on the inside of the plastic barrier, at child height, as if a small forearm had leaned there from the other side. We measured. It matched his, scaled down. Signature obsession. 3. Everything in 3s. 3 taps from the crawlspace when we walked by. The rocking headboard's triple sway. Light glows for 3 seconds in the dormer. Gone. The attic bulb chain looped itself into 3 lazy knots one morning, like fingers had played idly while thinking. We tried to set it right. We put the crib back together on a whim and set a folded quilt inside, nicer than the attic deserves. We swept. We spoke into the plastic. We're just making it safe. That night, The dust on the floor gathered in a line with little notches like someone drew a measuring stick. I said, "Measure," aloud without thinking. The dust leapt, no breeze, no footfall, and the line wiped itself away. At dusk on Sunday, the skylight turned the room gold and a shadow moved across the ceiling, not from us, not from any tree. It was the shape of a person standing on the knee wall behind the plastic, backlit from nowhere, shoulders small, head turned as if checking our work. The hammer taps came again, but now soft, not building, signaling. Tap, 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 pause, tap. We left the bulb unscrewed. It still glowed that night when we pulled into the road. "Phosphorescence in old glass," Evan tried, voice thinning out. The next morning, a contractor left his tape measure in the middle of the floor. We found it extended to 30 inches with a little dent at 28. The kind you get when a kid bends it and lets it snap. We work there now with the barrier still up. Sometimes the plastic bows toward us like a child playing under a sheet. If I sit very still at the top of the stairs, I can feel small drafts moving around my ankles in loops of 3. Once, when I hummed without noticing, the hammer answered on the 2 and 4 like someone learning to keep time. This doesn't end here. Something else was happening, somewhere else. The front bell rang at 4:03 a.m. with the deadbolt turned. Chairs slid off tables and arranged into pairs facing the door. The chalkboard wrote "Special" in a dust finger and then erased it. The espresso machine hissed like a whispering breath on my neck. An old receipt printed blank except for my name. The window showed streetlights, but not my reflection. I'm Ben Carter. I bought a narrow brick storefront in Savannah that used to be an antique shop stacked to the ceiling. We gutted it and turned it into a little cafe. Black and white tile, soft lamps, a brass bell on the door. I slept upstairs while we built it out. If you've ever renovated a place with history, you already know the smell of old ledger paper and rain through plaster. It never quite leaves. I set the bell myself. I know its voice. On the third night after opening, it rang at 4:03 a.m. The deadbolt was turned. I watched the security feed on my phone, grainy but honest. The door didn't move. The bell rope swung like a slow metronome. Proof stacked nightly. The chairs, tipped on tables after close, slid down in pairs when I brushed my teeth upstairs, legs kissing tiles softly, and arranged themselves facing the front door, as if expecting someone. The chalkboard near the register woke up with dust letters that spelled SPECIAL. By the time I took stairs 2 at a time, the board was blank except for a little smudge at the lower right where someone erased with a palm. Rationalization. Settling. Floor slope. Air conditioning backdrafts. Mice. The espresso machine hissing to bleed pressure by itself. I made a list and checked each thing off in daylight. At night, the list laughed. Partner collateral. My sister, Layla, helped prep at dawn. One morning she came in quiet and small. "Ben," she said, "who put 2 cups upside down on the table by the window?" I hadn't. 2 cups, saucers too, waited there. Rings of faint damp underneath as if breathing had condensed. When Layla turned to hand me one, her ponytail lifted for a second, like someone's passing hand had brushed it. "Static," she insisted, not fully convincing herself. Signature obsession. The bell and that one time 4:03 a.m. I started waking up at 4:01 to be downstairs for it, like meeting a train. When it rang, the register drawer slid open a thumb's width. The receipt printer growled and rolled a blank slip except for my name in the header. No order, no total. Just Ben, like a label. I kept it in my wallet until the heat erased it to ghost gray. The antique dealer next door stopped in for coffee on a rainy afternoon and told me, unprompted, that the tenant before me hosted little after-hours teas for collectors. Quiet, by invitation, never advertised. Some folks get used to being expected, she said, stirring sugar she didn't add. The bell rang once, though no one came in. She did not look toward the door. At 4:03 a.m., 3 nights ago, I stood by the counter with both hands on the espresso machine like a priest at a railing. The bell rang. The chairs slid. The chalk wrote nothing this time, but left the feeling of a word. The machine hissed a soft, steady breath that felt not at my ear but inside my chest. I whispered, "We open at 7. The bell answered with a single polite tap as if acknowledging ours. I started setting 2 cups by the window before bed, one chipped, one not, because it felt rude not to. The first morning I did it, the chipped saucer had a faint ring like a wedding band mark, a little clean circle within dust, exactly at the hour the bell loves. Layla saw it. She put her hand over the circle and didn't move for a long time. We close now with chairs on the floor. At 4:03, something still comes. Not angry, not sweet, expectant. On the camera, when the street lights paint the front glass gold, the window shows the street, shows the lamps, shows the hint of a figure pausing, hat, coat turned slightly away, but never shows me standing there behind the counter looking back. The bell continues to ring as if the door keeps opening somewhere else and the sound makes the trip. This doesn't end here.